You're 19, 20, you graduated high school, you're in college or university, and you want to get started in filmmaking. How do you get started in filmmaking? It's a good question. I've been in the film industry now for about 10 years, and I've done mainly commercial and documentary work. The commercial work I've done is mainly here in Canada, in Ontario, from Toronto to Windsor. And the documentary work I've done has been for companies like Vice, TVO, CBC, Crave, E1 Entertainment, Noisy, things like that. And I've been really fortunate. I've had a lot of great opportunities, but those opportunities just didn't come to me. I had to go out and get them. I had to put myself out there. I had to take risks. I live in Windsor, Ontario. All the films are pretty much made in Toronto, Ontario, which is about 4 hours away. And I got married here, I had kids, and I have a mortgage. I have a house in Windsor, Ontario, and I made the decision a long time ago not to move to Toronto because it just didn't make any sense to me at that time. And what I do is I commute back and forth for the last 10 years with my car. Sometimes I sleep in my car, sometimes I pull over on the side of the road. I drive whatever distance it takes to get to the project. And the benefit nowadays is that you really don't have to live in the big city to make it in this industry, because half the time, especially in documentary, we're flying out to a destination to go and film away from the Toronto GTA region. So I really don't believe you need to live in the city if you want to make it. Now, there are way more opportunities in the city if you live in the city, but you're also paying more money. And, you know, if you're not someone who loves the big city, then maybe that's not for you. Maybe you live on the outskirts of the city and you drive in to get those opportunities. That's just a little bit about me. Now let's get into the video. How do you get started in filmmaking? I asked myself that same question when I graduated in 2007 from Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts in Detroit. I live in Windsor, went to Detroit to get a broadcast diploma. I didn't have the grades to get into film school, so I went to a news broadcast school. It was like a 1.5-year crash course on basic camera work, basic editing, basic audio, basic lighting, Photoshop, things like that. And I learned a lot, and it gave me the basics. So that's the first thing. You need to get the basics. Whether you go to school, whether you go online and learn it yourself, you need to understand the basics. And to understand the basics, you need some type of equipment. That's why I recommend going to some type of school. You don't have to go get a degree. If you want to get a degree, go for it. But you need to be able to get your hands on decent camera equipment, decent editing equipment, and decent audio equipment. Those are the 3 things you kind of need to get your hands on to start practicing. So if you don't go to some type of schooling to get your hands on some film equipment, then you're gonna have to do it in other ways. You're gonna have to save up your money to buy your first camera, your first audio equipment, your first editing software with a computer. You're gonna have to get those 3 things yourself. So you can either save your money, you can get a loan, you can lease equipment. There's lots of different options to get your hands on gear. And if you're smart with your money, you can definitely make that happen. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When I first started, I asked my parents for a loan, and they gave me a loan, and I slowly paid that back over years with the work I was doing with the film equipment. But what I did was basically bought myself a good camera. That was the Panasonic AF100, proper XLR, built-in NDs. It was the first Micro Four Thirds camera. I got some decent lenses. I got a basic boom pole and boom mic and audio cables, and I bought a Mac Pro, and I basically had the 3 things I needed to get started, and I ran with it. I did not waste that money my parents loaned me. I went out there, I practiced every day. I was filming in nature, filming in the city, practicing composition, practicing nailing my focus, practicing getting proper exposure, doing research online, going door to door, knocking on businesses and saying, hey, can I do video work for you? Here's my prices, blah, blah, blah. I just hit the ground running. No one told me to do this. This is just something I thought would be the best way to get started in the film industry. And that is basically what I would recommend to you guys out there trying to get into the film industry. You need to get your hands on gear, then you need to go out there, practice, and you need to be knocking on doors, whether it's through email, phone, literally going to businesses and asking for the owner or the management and saying, hey, can I make a commercial for you for like 50, $100, whatever it is, just get started, get filming, and get going. Now, after a few years of doing that, you need to meet people. Maybe you're not interested in just doing commercial work. Maybe you want to get into the actual film industry. You want to do drama, you want to do documentary. For that, you're going to have to go to a bigger city and you're going to have to meet people. And you're going to ask me, well, Sasha, how can I go and meet other filmmakers that are established in the industry and make those connections? Well, the best way is to go to film festivals and introduce yourself to up-and-coming directors. Be bold. Say, hey, I really loved your film. I was wondering, the next time you're going to film something, I'm more than willing to come out and work for free, volunteer, and be your assistant, whatever it takes. That's how you're going to meet people. That's how you're going to build relationships, and people are going to admire you for being bold and going out there and just stating your intentions. I didn't meet people that way. I was fortunate enough that there was some films being made in the Windsor, Detroit area, and I was able to meet those directors from the commercial work that I had done, going door to door and building those relationships. So from me going door to door, I met owners of businesses. Those owners of the businesses knew directors. They introduced me to those directors, and then I was able to break my way into the documentary filmmaking scene. From there, I built more relationships in the Toronto area based on the director I had met in Windsor, Ontario. And I just kept building and building from there. You gotta find a way to meet people in the industry. And in hindsight, I wish someone would have told me, go to film festivals in the Toronto area, in the Detroit area. Wherever there's film festivals in your area, you should go to those film festivals and you should introduce yourself to directors. And I think that's the fastest way to get into the industry. Just offer up your services for free, hustle, do whatever it takes, drive 8 hours, drive 12 hours, sleep in your car, do whatever it takes. If you really want to be in this industry, you will be in this industry. It's as simple as that. I just want to put a little note in here. Don't get discouraged when people say no to you. It's going to happen a lot. This is only going to help you, though. It may seem like a downside, getting declined for work, putting yourself out there and being turned down. That's going to build character in you. That's going to build resilience. It's either going to destroy you or it's going to build you up. You need to let it build you up, make you into a stronger person. Don't take no for an answer. Keep reaching out to more people. The people that say no, go to different people. Somebody will eventually say yes, and you will get your foot in the door. And this is basically the final step. You need to continue to repeat everything that I've told you to do. So you get your hands on film equipment. Start to practice with that film equipment. Practice as much as you can. Go out and film, even if it's for free. Do free commercials until you can start charging a little bit of money for it, then charging more money for it, and then so on and so on and so on. Knock on doors, cold call. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. You're going to have to take risks if you want to get reward. Go to film festivals in your area and introduce yourself to directors saying you're going to do whatever it takes to be on their next project. You're willing to work for free, whatever it takes. You got to go out there. You got to put yourself out there. You got to introduce yourself to people. You got to meet people. One of the big things I think that helped me get into the industry is that I was kind of a jack of all trades, and that's kind of looked down upon. And I think as you get older and you get more experience in the industry, you kind of shed the jack of all trades and you kind of hone in on something specific, like being just a director, just a sound guy, just a cinematographer, just an editor. When I first started, I was great at doing audio. I was great at doing camera work. I was good with music. I used to play in bands. So I understood that, and I was good at editing and doing some graphic stuff, and I could fly a drone. So I was able to do a lot of different things, and the other directors I was working with came from a different generation where they were just basically one thing, either a director or a camera operator or an editor. Not those guys from that generation, maybe 30 years ago, 25 years ago, they weren't jack of all trades in the film industry. But my generation, all of us are jack of all trades. We all know how to do camera, audio, editing, graphics, etc. So moving into the industry, that was great at the beginning, but as time has gone on, I'm slowly shedding certain things, and I'm just focusing now mainly on directing and cinematography, even though I still love doing editing and creating music and stuff like that. Last thing I want to say is if you're someone who lives outside of a big city where all the films are being made. Like if you live outside of New York, if you live outside of LA, if you live outside of Toronto, well, you're gonna have to make two decisions. You have to sacrifice something. You're either gonna live outside the city and have to commute, so the sacrifice you're making is time and you're gonna have to drive. That's gonna be your burden. Or you can live in the city, and the sacrifice you're making there is you're moving away from family and friends probably, and you're gonna have to pay more to live in the big city, and you're gonna have to deal with the big city things, traffic. I don't know, I don't really live in the big city, but you know, people complain about it being a rat race. But there are more opportunities in the city. So you're gonna have to pick what you want. The good news is you can do it either way. Lots of people do it. You don't have to just live in the big city like New York, LA, or Toronto to make it in this industry. Lots of people live outside of the city, so don't let that get you down. Hope this video was helpful for you guys. I really love sharing this with you. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking the content, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Bye. One last thing I almost forgot. If you want to be, what the heck am I doing? If you want to be a filmmaker in the film industry, you got to go out and practice making your own films. Go out there, make your own projects. 30 seconds, 1 hour, it doesn't matter. Go out there and start making your own films. People are going to see those films one day. You never know. You put them on YouTube, put them on Vimeo, put them on Instagram, put them on Facebook, TikTok. This is a new world. You got to put your stuff out there if you want to be a filmmaker. If you just want to work in the film industry and be a grip, an editor, a director, working on other people's things, writing for other people, filming for other people as a camera operator, as a cinematographer, that's different. But if you want to be a filmmaker in the film industry, you got to make your own stuff. Get out there and do it.